The third season of Squid Game kicks off right after the explosive ending of Season 2. Gi-hun, our hero, player 456, is still alive after the rebellion failed, but he's devastated by the loss of his childhood best friend, Young-bae, who we've followed since the very first season. If you want a quick recap of Seasons 1 and 2, check the link in the description or on my channel. Right after the mutiny collapses, we see the pink-suited guards reclaiming control of the facility. Guard 11, the animator-turned-soldier No Yul from Season 2 orders Player 246, the father of the sick girl, to close his eyes if he wants to live. She then records him as eliminated. The next scene confirms Player 246 is out. Two guards mark his box with a big red cross, and a triangle-shaped officer congratulates No Yul, thrilled she's now on their side. Then Player 11 asks the officer to show her the medical bay, saying, "We're on the same team now, no secrets." Moments later, they wheel in a box into the waiting room, and inside that box, Gi-hun, Player 456. At first, the other contestants assume he's been eliminated too. But Player 120, the trans woman we met before, checks his pulse. Spoiler, he's alive. They lay him onto a bed, and when he slowly comes to, dazed, he asks, "Where is everyone else?" Player 120 replies, "From the protest group, only Daiho, me, and you remain." She explains that the pink soldiers brought Gi-hun in that box just a few hours ago. Then the guards parade into the room and announce, "The prize now stands at 39 billion, won about $28 million, and only 60 players are left in the game." Heart-pounding, Gi-hun asks why they kept him alive when everyone else was eliminated. At that moment, the host In-ho, whose real identity was hinted in the previous seasons, watches Gi-hun's reaction on a monitor, swirling a glass of whiskey. Next up, the voting begins on whether to continue the games. It starts with the last player. Gi-hun barely moves. He's still depressed over his friends, and besides, he's chained to the bed. His vote doesn't count because he ignores the poll. Unsurprisingly, the majority votes to carry on, and the prize pool swells even more. The guards leave the main hall, and then Player 100, the old man who's racked up debt of about 10 billion, lets out a laugh. He turns to Gi-hun and asks, almost teasingly, if his plan was to wipe out half of the X-Team. The rest of the Circle team cracks up at Gi-hun too. Thanks to that failed uprising, the X-Team lost most of its members, making it eerily easy for them to sail through the recent vote. Then the fortune teller approaches Player 456 and flatly tells him he's an idiot, because he was the reason so many players got eliminated. She declares that he's going to suffer for the rest of his days until he can't anymore. That sets Gi-hun off. He lunges at her, grabbing her by the throat until other players dive in and pull him back, saving her. Cut to breakfast time. As we see the others eating, Player 124, Namgyu, a friend of Thanos who dropped out in the previous game, takes a pill hidden inside a necklace that once belonged to Thanos himself. Then Player 333, Myung-gi, walks over to Player 222, Jun-hee, and hands over his potato, reminding us she's pregnant and he's about to become a dad. Player 149 goes up to chain to the bed Gi-hun and offers him his potato. The old lady chimes in, noting she knows Gi-hun did it all to save others. Player 120 apologizes, she was supposed to bring ammo. But player number 7 says it's not her fault, it's Daeho's. He and his mother saw Daeho rush for the ammo, then just sit in the corner, paralyzed by fear. And even if she tried to help, the guards had already stormed in and would have eliminated her for sure. The players head out, leaving Gi-hun alone. He sits quietly for a long moment, then turns his head and watches Daeho, who's calmly eating with not a shred of regret. Meanwhile, the guards stage a fake burning of the box marked with a red cross. Then, the pink uniformed officer leads Soldier 11 to the infirmary, where she spots Player 246 lying on a gurney. The officer tells the others that 11 is now on their side, and they ought to trust her. One soldier complains they lost money because of her. At that moment, 11 removes her mask. As they prepare to open the body of 246, she suddenly grabs a rifle and takes out all the officers, effectively eliminating them from the game. A surviving medic surrenders, admitting he only wanted the money. 11 warns him if he doesn't save 246's life, she'll boot him from the competition just like the rest. Elsewhere aboard the ship, a crew member has gone missing. Captain Park, the same man who tossed him overboard last season, shrugs it off, blaming alcohol and saying he probably fell. Suddenly, Woo-suk reveals he overheard a conversation, then found Captain Park on deck. Detective Jun-ho wants to search for the missing crewman, but Park dismisses it, calling the ocean too vast. The team decides to recruit a new drone operator and return to port, where they anticipate many. Cut to a quiet moment. The original drone operator is shown nearby and alive. Later, Woo-seok tells Jun-ho that last night he found Captain Park on deck with a screwdriver in hand, something that struck him as odd. Jun-ho brushes it off, blaming booze. Morning comes. Gi-hun, who hasn't slept a wink after discovering Dae-ho's betrayal caused the rebellion to collapse, glares at him relentlessly. Dae-ho notices. The players are herded into the next game chamber. On the stairwell, they pass the bodies of the earlier rebellion's casualties from last season. The organizers inform them these are the result of trying to halt the game. Gi-hun spots his childhood best friend, Young-bae, among the fallen. The players step into the new game room. They're told that for the next round, they'll be split into two random teams. To decide their team, each player must draw a ball from a vending-style machine, either red or blue. We see player 124, Jun-hee, and the elderly woman draw red balls. Player 120, the shaman, and her son pull blue. The old woman reassures her son not to worry. Gi-hun also ends up on the red team, Dae-ho, blue. Then a square-marked pink guard announces the next game, hide and seek. Here's how it works. The blue team gets dropped into a room and must find a way out to survive. The red team's job is to eliminate at least one blue player to move on. If a red player fails to do that, they're out instead. The time limit, 30 minutes. Panic sets in for the old woman and her son. Organizers clarify, the blue team will receive keys to open various doors, but they can't shut any of them, except for the main exit. The red team, however, will be armed with knives. Debate breaks out. Some red team players claim the blue team has the upper hand, while some blues say the reds do. So the organizers offer a one-time deal. Anyone can switch colors if they want. The fortune teller starts gathering a following, claiming that the gods will guide her straight to the exit. Player number 125, Min-soo, is approached by player number 124. He smugly admits he had no regrets taking Simi out of the game in the previous season, then twists the knife further by saying he knows Min-soo chickened out and didn't help her when she needed it. Player 333 pleads with the pregnant girl to trade colors. He wants to protect her and their unborn child. She says no, so he tells her to take him out first when the game starts, because that's her only shot at surviving. Meanwhile, the old woman's son begs her to switch. He doesn't believe she has it in her to take someone out. He even brings up the past, reminding her she never fought back when his father used to hurt her. After that, they swap. Player 100 offers to swap balls with Gi-hun, but Gi-hun just glares at him with cold fury. The old man walks away. Then Gi-hun locks eyes with Dae-ho again, tension thick between them. Dae-ho tries to trade his blue ball with someone from the red team, but no one wants to become an easy target. Left with no options, he walks up to Gi-hun and demands to know why he keeps staring at him like that. Then flips the blame, saying everything that happened to Young-bae and the others is Gi-hun's fault. Before things escalate, a pink guard steps in to calm Dae-ho down. The game begins. The blue team is called to enter the arena first. They're given a short head start to hide. The old woman tells her son she tucked a knife into her hair. Meanwhile, the pregnant girl swaps colors with player 333. She asks him to keep his promise and help them. He replies that he'll find her, whatever it takes. The blue team enters the game room. They're given 2 minutes to hide and search for the exit. Player 100 suggests that whoever finds the exit first should shout and show it to the others. Everyone agrees, and they scatter across the room. On the red side, player 124 asks Myung-gi to team up. He says he's impressed by how Myung-gi took down Thanos last season. Meanwhile, in the infirmary, the doctor says, Player 246 urgently needs a blood transfusion. Soldier 11 volunteers her own. The procedure is done, and once it's over, she eliminates the doctor from the game. She puts her mask back on and tells player 246 she wants to save him. She plans to disguise him in the uniform of Soldier 16 so they can escape together. Back with Jun-ho's crew, they finally find a new drone operator. Just then, Jun-ho gets a call from Woo-seok. He says he won't be rejoining the crew, he's staying behind to dig deeper into Captain Park, who he still doesn't trust. Says his gut is rarely wrong. Jun-ho brushes it off, telling the captain Woo-seok had a family emergency. Meanwhile, Woo-seok sits in a truck, talking to a friend. He reveals that their boss Kim is gone, and if you remember from earlier seasons, Kim was the one extorting money from Gi-hun back in Season 1 and was later taken out by the recruiter in Season 2. In the next scene, the red team storms into the game room, spreading out to hunt the blue players, Gi-hun among them, laser-focused on tracking down Daeho. Early on, player 124 swallows a pill and offers one to Myunggi, who turns it down. Moments later, Gi-hun nearly corners Daeho in a hallway, but loses sight of him at the last second. Player 100 gets trapped on a stairwell. His key doesn't match the lock. Another blue player appears, and we learn there are 3 different types of locks: circle, square, and triangle. Player 120 quickly figures out the logic and realizes her group has all 3 key types. The elderly woman and the pregnant girl hand her their keys to help speed things up. Gi-hun keeps searching for Daeho. With 25 minutes left on the clock, the pressure is rising. Elsewhere, the elderly woman spots her son wandering the hall, clearly on the hunt for someone to take out. Blue players are in survival mode. One of them gets cornered by players 124 and 333, who eliminate him together. Player 333 swipes his key for later use. Min-soo steps out from another room and notices 124 drop the cross-shaped Thanos necklace with the hidden pills. He picks it up and swallows one of the capsules. Player 222, while fleeing, twists his ankle and tumbles down a stairwell. Meanwhile, a red team player finds the group with player 120, the elderly woman and the pregnant girl. He demands they hand over the old woman in exchange for sparing the rest. But 120 fights back, takes him down, and removes him from the game. Back with player 100 and his teammate, they're opening doors, searching for the exit, when a red player suddenly appears. In a panic, 100 pushes his partner through the door and slams it shut. His teammate gets eliminated, but the old man stays safe and snags his key on the way out. At the same time, players 124 and 333 take out yet another blue team member. The organizers announce the results. They've cleared the game. The moment player 333 promised, he dashes off to protect the pregnant woman. Meanwhile, player 124 urges him to keep picking off other players. More eliminations mean a bigger prize. And the fewer blue players left, the better her chances of making it through. Gi-hun, desperate, is still searching for Daeho when another red team player ambushes Daeho, wounding him in the leg. They fight, and at the last second, Daeho turns the tide and wins. At the same time, player 120's team enters a new room and finds the pregnant woman with a broken ankle. She begs her teammates, including the old woman and player 120, to leave her behind. She knows she's now a liability. Suddenly, her water breaks. She's about to give birth. Just 15 minutes remain on the clock. Outside, the old woman's son is still searching for any blues to get past this game. Luck strikes when he encounters a blue player begging for mercy, claiming his mother is terminally ill with cancer at home. The son momentarily hesitates, but then the blue player attacks, even disarming him. Before the attacker can finish the job, another red player eliminates him. The fortune teller and her followers continue their frantic search for an exit. She enters the room, then bolts back out, panicked. Just behind her, players 124 and 333 burst in and eliminate all her followers. On the stairwell, the fortune teller runs into Gi-hun. She tells him she saw player 388 Daeho limping and leaving a trail of blood. She says, "Follow the blood, you'll find him." With that, Gi-hun rushes off. Meanwhile, the fortune teller stumbles into a side room, when suddenly she discovers the exit. But to open it, she needs all 3 key types. She rushes back to gather them, even marking arrows on the walls to avoid getting lost. Elsewhere, player 100 spots players 124 and 333 approaching. Realizing he's vulnerable, he pretends to be out of the game. 124 checks the body, sees it's him, and walks on, leaving the old man alive and claiming his key. Player 100 is approached by the fortune teller, who eyes his necklace holding all 3 keys. She claims she's found the exit and urgently needs the keys. He agrees to help, and together they open the final door. But at the last moment, the old man barges in and snatches a key from the fortune teller, locking her out and leaving her stranded. Just then, Min-soo appears, completely unhinged, rambling from the pills. He mistakes the fortune teller for player 124. Confused, she starts hurling insults, and Min-soo, thinking he's attacking 124, eliminates her from the game. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the room, the old woman assists the pregnant player through childbirth. The camera lingers on the newborn only, to reveal hilariously obvious, cheap CGI, evoking comparisons to Twilight's Rename. Suddenly, a red guard storms in. Player 120 springs into action. They clobber him in a gritty scuffle, and just as another red guard enters, he turns and flees. 120 spots the exit sign and, with all the keys in hand, unlocks the door. She briefly considers escape, she's so close, but then decides to stay with her friends. That decision proves fatal. As she turns back to guide them, she's ambushed from behind. Player 333 knocks her out of the game. Player 333 is revealed as the attacker. He stands over the pregnant player and her newborn, but freezes when he sees them. He chooses to look away, pretending there's nobody there, especially since player 124 is watching nearby. The elderly woman kneels beside player 120's body. Through tears, she takes her keys and tells the pregnant woman they need to make a move before anyone notices. The baby could cry and give them away. As they reach the door, the grandmother hesitates over the lock. Suddenly, her son bursts in, ready to eliminate the pregnant woman. The old woman pleads for mercy and offers herself in exchange, but her son lunges at Junhee anyway. In a split-second decision, the grandmother strikes first, landing a blow to his back that eliminates her own son. He apologizes to her just as the game timer hits 0. Pink guards flood the room. The grandmother begs them to eliminate her instead, but they don't hesitate. A shot rings out. At the same time, Gi-hun finally finds Dae-ho hiding behind a door. Dae-ho insists he only intended to help everyone, but Gi-hun accuses him of betraying their rebellion. Suddenly, Dae-ho pulls out a knife he had seized from another red player. A harsh confrontation breaks out. Dae-ho accuses Gi-hun, claiming it was Gi-hun's survival that doomed them. The tension explodes. Gi-hun overpowers him, and Dae-ho is eliminated from the game. Silence descends as Gi-hun watches his rival fall. Consumed by doubt, he begins to reflect. Maybe Dae-ho wasn't at fault. Maybe he himself is to blame? Tormented by guilt, Gi-hun moves towards stepping out of the game, ready to sacrifice himself. But guards intervene just in time. A shot shatters his blade and he collapses, unconscious. In the next scene, the red team members who failed to eliminate anyone are taken out of the game by the guards. Turns out, plot twist, the guards were actually VIP guests in disguise. The host arranged a full immersion experience just for them. They're thrilled, thanking him and saying it felt like a real-life hunt. Meanwhile, Myung-gi is waiting alone in a room, hoping the pregnant girl will show up. Elsewhere, player number 124 is in full meltdown mode. He's lost his Thanos necklace and is spiraling into withdrawal. Shaking and desperate, he begs to step outside for just a second, but the guards shut him down. Right then, the elderly woman enters the room with the newborn and the mother. The baby starts crying, and suddenly all eyes are on them. Gi-hun, still cuffed to a bed, just watches in silence. Then a square-marked soldier steps forward and makes a big announcement. The prize pool is now 43 billion, nearly 31 million US dollars. There are 25 players left. If they choose to end the game now, each person walks away with about 1.7 billion, roughly $1 million. Voting begins. The VIPs are confident the players will quit, but the host disagrees. He believes greed will win. This time, number 124 wants out, but Minsu refuses to let that happen. He's out for revenge over Simi and plans to knock him out of the game personally. The elderly woman steps in again. She pleads with everyone to vote for ending the game. She talks about Junhee giving birth just moments ago and how the baby needs care, milk, a pediatrician, diapers, basic human decency. Speaking for all mothers, she begs them to stop before it's too late, but no one listens. One by one, they start voting to continue. The VIPs comment on her emotional speech. One finds it touching, while another scoffs, calling her senile, pointing out she just knocked her own son out of the game earlier to save a newborn and a woman she barely knows. And that son, she raised him for over 20 years. Later, Junhee apologizes to the elderly woman for what happened, but she tells him not to dwell on it. The only thing that matters now is keeping the mother and baby safe. Meanwhile, one of the guards informs the higher-ups that after inspecting the operating room, they believe the doctor eliminated the soldiers since his body is missing. Player 246 is supposedly still on the stretcher, but in reality, it's the doctor's body there. And the real 246 has disguised himself as Soldier 16. The masked officer orders Soldier 16 brought to his office and demands that Soldier 11 be located. But 11 is already standing behind him, weapon in hand. She insists that she and 16 be assigned to perimeter patrol and given a boat for departure the next day, or she'll make sure the VIP guests notice what's going on. Out at sea, Junho's team continues searching for the island using a drone. Just then, Woo-shuk calls. He tells Junho that no one in the docks or Park's hometown seems to know him. Junho doesn't see it as solid proof, but starts getting suspicious. Park then urges Junho to leave, warning that the incoming tide is dangerous. But Junho, having spotted the island's shoreline via drone, insists they get closer. When they reach the island, Junho realizes it's the exact spot where his brother once pushed him off a cliff. He tells the team this is the place and that they'll return here tomorrow. That evening, the grandmother consoles Gi-hun, telling him, "Only kind people blame themselves when things go wrong." She shares how her son, Young-sik, was much like Gi-hun, lost in drinking too much. One night, after a drunken argument where she yelled at him for being born, he nearly harmed himself out of shame. She rushed him to the hospital, vowing she'd do anything to save him. The irony? She later was the one who had to eliminate him from the game. Gi-hun gazes at her in shock. The grandmother then implores him to protect the pregnant woman and her baby. She still believes he's meant to save them all. She reminds him that the baby is innocent and begs him to shield the child at all costs. Meanwhile, Woo-shuk and his partner arrive at an abandoned house. Armed with a flashlight and a pistol, Woo-shuk enters the property. Outside, a chained dog barks ferociously. Inside, he discovers a photograph of Captain Park, standing next to the recruiter from a previous season. It dawns on him, Park has been deliberately hiding the island's location. Suddenly, the dog breaks free and attacks Woo-shuk. A gunshot rings out. Before they leave, Woo-shuk finds a stash of money and a guard's uniform in the kennel evidence, pointing to a deeper conspiracy. Moments later, police burst in and arrest him on the spot. Meanwhile, dawn breaks back at the game facility. Guards are roused for breakfast. A square-marked officer discreetly hands 011 the key to the boat, and initially everything seems to be going as planned. Later, the officer discovers the real player 246 has disappeared. His body has been replaced by the doctors. Though 011 and 246, now disguised in Soldier 16's uniform, have gone out on patrol, the officer orders their capture. On the other side, players wake to find the guards bringing in a box to retrieve the grandmother's body. She removed herself from the game during the night. The organizers instruct everyone to return to the game room. The pregnant woman, unwilling to abandon her baby, struggles to walk. Gi-hun offers to carry the child for her. Jun-hee tearfully admits to Gi-hun that she considered giving up the baby once, thinking it might bring her a family, but she now feels guilty because her decisions led the grandmother and her son to sacrifice themselves. Gi-hun reassures her it's not her fault. He opens up. He has a daughter too, but hasn't been a good father. He shares the joy he felt just watching her grow even imperfect and vows to protect her child, no matter the cost. The scene switches to the VIPs, watching via a massive screen. They notice player 222 struggling her injured ankle makes the next challenge nearly impossible. One VIP casually mentions betting on her, triggering laughter from the others. One suggests involving the baby next a twisted bet to see if she can motivate 222 to cross the bridge. Next, the players enter the new arena and hear the rules. They have just 20 minutes to jump across a giant rope bridge or face elimination. Gi-hun tells the pregnant woman they should cross together and leave the baby behind for safety. But a pink guard interrupts. Everyone, including the baby, must cross, or all will be eliminated. Shockingly, the organizers have officially enlisted the baby as a full contestant. Bewildered, player 100 shouts that someone must go first, but no one volunteers. At that moment, Gi-hun steps up and volunteers to lead. The pregnant woman hands him the baby, urging him to keep her safe. Meanwhile, Minsu tosses player 124 his Thanos necklace complete with the pill capsule on the bridge deck. Thirsty for those pills, 124 dashes forward. But grabbing the necklace, he discovers it's empty. Distracted, he missteps and falls, eliminating himself. Now Gi-hun carefully crosses with the baby in his arms. He wobbles mid-bridge but makes it across. Once safe, he promises to come back for the pregnant woman. Others begin crossing one by one. Player 96 goes second, but he pushes the person behind him, only focused on winning. Eventually, they all pile across in the same spot. Then player 100 offers 96 some cash to let others go first, but he's not swayed. When 96 refuses, Gi-hun threatens to push him off unless he steps aside. He relents and lets everyone through. Later, Gi-hun spots the pregnant woman attempting a jump. She slips. Player 333 tries to help, but she lashes out, upset that he earlier eliminated player 120. She tells him to stay away from her and the baby. At that tense moment, 96 lunges at Gi-hun to try and eliminate him, but plot armor kicks in. Gi-hun shoves 96 off the bridge, ending his game. Eventually, Min-soo and 333 cross successfully. With just 1 minute left, Gi-hun decides to go back for the pregnant woman, but she stops him. She declares she'll protect her child at any cost and chooses to stay behind. The countdown ticks down. The VIPs demand the host make the baby its own contestant. He agrees and registers her as player 222, taking the place of her mother to ramp up the stakes for their voting game. Back in the main hall, players number 336 and 353 are talking. They count only 8 people left and figure the prize money should be more than enough to walk away rich. But then the pink-suited guards enter and announce that the prize pool has jumped to 44.7 billion won, now to be split among 9 players. That's roughly 4.9 billion won per person, or about $3.6 million. That's when the realization hits. The newborn has been officially added to the game. The players are stunned. They argue the baby didn't earn that prize. He didn't risk anything. He was just born into it. A few approach Gi-hun, asking him to get the baby disqualified. But right then, the guards return and declare that player eliminations in the main hall are no longer allowed. The organizers want to give everyone a fair shot. The guards then hand out fresh, stylish clothes and lay out a luxurious feast, which can only mean one thing. Just like in Season 1, the final game is coming. Meanwhile, Junho marks a potential island location on the map. But Captain Pak warns him it's a dangerous zone, tightly patrolled by the Coast Guard. Junho insists, urging his team to search the area at dawn. Back at the police station, Woo-suk is trying to explain that Pa is part of a criminal group trafficking people to a secret island for underground betting, but no one takes him seriously. Later, police call Pak to report a break-in at his home. Someone tried to steal a guard uniform, money, and a photo. The intruder's name? Woo-suk. Pak plays dumb, pretending he doesn't know him. When Junho asks about the call, Pak brushes it off as just a personal matter. But then, behind the scenes, Pak contacts another boat and warns them they've been exposed, then orders the destruction of the vessel. Meanwhile, at the station, Woo-suk grabs a phone during a moment of distraction and bolts. Using voice commands, he contacts Junho and warns him. Pak isn't who he says he is. Back on the boat, Pak tries to quietly take out the rest of the crew, but Junho fires a harpoon, stopping him just in time to save the manager. As Pak takes his final breath, he confesses he was acting under orders from In-ho, Junho's brother, who wanted him protected at all costs. But Pak also warns that Junho is wasting his time. No one will help him. Junho manages to stabilize the wounded manager and begs for help locating the island. He reveals that In-ho, his own brother, is the one running the show. But the manager says one boat isn't enough. They won't find the island alone. That's when Junho remembers something. Pak had crossed out a section on the map, claiming nothing was there. Now it clicks. That's exactly where the island must be. Meanwhile, the 9 finalists are treated to a lavish banquet in the main hall. The VIPs start to worry. Maybe the players won't want to continue, but the host reassures them. As long as players feel safe making it to the next round, they'll stay. Just then, a square-marked guard announces the final twist. In the next game, players will get to choose who to eliminate. If they agree to remove at least 3 players, the rest, including themselves, survive and win. A vote begins on whether to continue. The baby naturally can't vote, so it doesn't count. Gi-hun and Min-soo vote no. Everyone else votes to press on. Meanwhile, players 11 and 246, now dressed as a guard, depart the island. The officer calls 11, ordering him to bring 246 back. Apparently, he knows about the man's sick daughter. 11 returns, instructs 246 to head north and alert the police warning his daughter's in danger, then slips away. Gi-hun heads toward a boat when a pink guard announces the host wants to meet with him. The host makes an obscene offer involving the baby. He places a knife on a table and urges Gi-hun to eliminate the other finalists while they sleep. Curious, Gi-hun asks why the host is helping him. That's when the host lifts his mask, and it's Yong-il, player 1 from Season 1, thought to be long gone. Yong-il apologizes for Jung-bae's fate. He gives Gi-hun the knife and explains this. The next game can't be played by just 2 people, so Gi-hun must eliminate the others to ensure he and the baby survive. He asks if Gi-hun still believes in humanity, given all that's happened. Gi-hun takes the knife, but walks away without using it. Back in the hall, he sees the sleeping baby and quietly moves past the others, ready to eliminate them as Yong-il watches on, sipping whiskey. In a revealing flashback, we learn that when In-ho was a player, the previous host Il-nam, the grandfather from Season 1, offered him a similar choice: eliminate the others to live. In-ho did it, and now he's testing Gi-hun the same way because he sees himself in him. As Gi-hun approaches the sleepers, Sae-byek's face appears before him, reminding him he's a good man. He drops the knife and walks away. Back in the host's control room, tears fill In-ho's eyes as he watches Gi-hun's decision unfold. Meanwhile, player 246 continues sailing. Detective Jun-ho approaches the island, but his brother, the host In-ho, orders over the radio, "Stop now or be eliminated." Meanwhile, Soldier 11 storms into the officer's office and forces him to erase all records of player 246 from the system. The officer complies but warns her that a paper backup still exists, and only he and the front man can access it. In the elevator, the officer with the square mask tries to wrestle her rifle away. They fall to the floor and start fighting. During the scuffle, he accuses her of trying to save player 246 because she's haunted by guilt over abandoning her own daughter. She begs him to let them go. The officer admits he thought they were alike, both from North Korea, both having lost someone to kidney failure, but says he was wrong. Just then, he gets called on the radio. Soldier 11 tries to get into the elevator, but the officer tells her the lift won't work without his mask. She activates the lift, then knocks him out of the game. By morning, the remaining players are woken up for the final round. Player 100 touches his neck like something stung him overnight. They're taken up by elevator to a square platform. The final game is revealed, Heavenly Squid. Each round will take place on a new platform, and in every round, the players have to knock out at least one opponent to move forward. If no one drops out in 15 minutes, they all lose. Suddenly, Min-soo starts hallucinating. He sees Thanos hanging off the edge of a platform. But then, Thanos morphs into player 124. Myung-gi watches all this chaos unfold in stunned silence. The organizers explain the final round starts by pressing a red button on the floor. Player 100 steps up and hits it, and the round begins. He warns everyone, no point in attacking each other directly. Player 353 suggests a vote on who should be eliminated, fair and square, and the obvious nominee is the baby, since her mother already exited. Player 203 agrees, saying no one is there to care for her. Her father, player 333, stays silent. Realizing Gi-hun won't give up the baby easily, they propose eliminating both him and the infant. But 353 reminds them they're only allowed to eliminate one player per round for the remaining 7 to survive. Player 333 suggests nominating Min-soo instead. He's the weakest, and Gi-hun won't sacrifice the baby. Then they can decide on Gi-hun or baby 222 in the next round. They confront Min-soo, who begs not to be the one. Player 203 refuses to push him. Too risky. Both might go over. Then 333 notices a metal pipe can be pulled from the platform. Min-soo starts hallucinating again, seeing Semi from last season. He apologizes, and in his distressed state, ends up eliminating himself. They move to the next platform via a metal walkway. Before the next round begins, 333 says they must separate Gi-hun from the baby. They vote to eliminate baby 222 this round, then Gi-hun next. But 333 objects. He urges Gi-hun to hand over the baby, or both will be eliminated. As player 203 hits the red start button, player 353 prepares to push Gi-hun. Gi-hun talks him down, saying next round they'd target 353. Doubt plants in, and he backs off, no push. When 203 reaches for the pipe, but 353 refuses him, pointing out that even if they eliminate Gi-hun and the baby now, they'd still face a choice in the next round. 203 accuses Gi-hun of manipulative tactics. Suddenly, 333 suggests rock, paper, scissors to decide who will push Gi-hun. Player 336 loses. They use their jackets as a rope to shove Gi-hun or pull him and the baby to the center, making it easier to choose. Player 336 approaches Gi-hun, pretending to settle things fairly by drawing straws. The shorter straw means elimination. They say Gi-hun can draw instead of the baby, but he's no fool. He asks to actually see the straws. At that moment, player 336 grabs Gi-hun, but Gi-hun pulls out the knife that In-ho gave him earlier and cuts the rope. Player 336 immediately starts pleading, saying he was forced into it. But right then, Myung-gi appears with a metal pipe and pushes him off the platform. He turns to Gi-hun and assures him he's on his side. The old man, player 100, steps in, trying to calm everyone down. He suggests that they can now move to the next round and finally draw straws to decide things fairly. But Myung-gi isn't buying it. The others accuse him of being the one who betrayed them in the first place. Myung-gi explains that he originally wanted to escape with Chun-hee, but she didn't trust him, and now all he wants is to protect his child. In the end, the players decide to eliminate player 39 instead of Gi-hun or Myung-gi, figuring it's the safest option. But Gi-hun interrupts and insists they stick to the original plan and draw straws, fair and square. The only condition, player 222, the child, doesn't participate. The others are visibly upset and ask Myung-gi to talk some sense into Gi-hun. Suddenly, player 203 lunges at Gi-hun, trying to take the knife. At the same time, player 353 grabs for Myung-gi's pipe. What follows is total chaos. In the heat of the fight, Gi-hun eliminates player 203, and Myung-gi takes down player 353. Afterward, Gi-hun returns to the child, while Myung-gi approaches the old man, player 100. The old man pretends he's been on their side all along. He calls them his true friends and suggests eliminating player 39 in the next round so only the three of them win. He even offers to give up 1 billion won from his prize money, says he only needs enough to clear his debts. But out of nowhere, Myung-gi eliminates him from the game. The round ends. Player 39, still stunned, looks at them and says he refuses to be a pawn in their game. And just like that, he removes himself from the competition. Now only 2 players remain, Gi-hun and Myung-gi. Meanwhile, Soldier 11 discovers player 246's file in the basement. At sea, the pink guards finally catch up to him in the boat and open fire. 246 manages to take out one attacker, but runs out of bullets and seems doomed until Detective Junho and the manager swoop in to rescue him. He tells Junho the island's location. Junho suits up in scuba gear and dives toward the island. Back at the arena, Myung-gi approaches Gi-hun and asks if the baby is okay, then heads to another platform. But suddenly he demands the child. Gi-hun refuses. He realizes Myung-gi plans to betray him and run off with the prize. VIP spectators are thrilled by the conflict. Myung-gi calls Gi-hun a hypocrite and con artist. Gi-hun responds that he made a promise to defend the baby, just like he promised Jun-hee, the mother. Myung-gi erupts in rage, convinced Gi-hun's connection to the baby is personal. Gi-hun places the child on the ground and steps back. Myung-gi immediately scoops the baby up. As the platform begins to vanish, Gi-hun grabs his knife and leaps to the next platform. The two clash. Myung-gi's pipe slips. He grabs the child and threatens to eliminate him if Gi-hun doesn't back off. Gi-hun retreats. Myung-gi raises the knife to finish him, but both lose their footing. Gi-hun manages to hang on, while Myung-gi's jacket rips. He falls, eliminated. It seems Gi-hun has won, but there's a twist. No one pressed the round start button. Gi-hun walks to the center, presses the red button, and the final round begins. Only 2 players remain, him, player 456, and the baby, player 222. One must be eliminated, one will win the prize. Meanwhile, soldier number 11 burns all the files related to player 246. Just before leaving, she hesitates, then opens her own personnel file, hoping to find something about her daughter. What she discovers shatters her. Both her husband and daughter were lost during a failed escape attempt from North Korea. In total shock, she torches the remaining documents, collapses into the Game Master's chair, and stares blankly at the screen. On the screen, we see Gi-hun holding the baby. Quietly, he says, "Players aren't racehorses, they're human beings." And with that, he removes himself from the game. The frontman immediately orders a full evacuation. A countdown begins. Everything is set to self-destruct in just a few minutes. In-ho, the Game Master, walks up to Gi-hun's body. As a sign of respect, he removes his mask, then climbs the platform to retrieve the baby. That's when Detective Junho arrives and asks the question that's haunted him. Why did In-ho save him back then? But In-ho stays silent. No answer. No eye contact. He just walks away. What follows is a haunting montage of moments from every season of the game. It ends on a close-up of Gi-hun's face, his pupils reflecting the final explosion, before everything is consumed by fire. Time passes. Someone unlocks a door and finds stacks of cash, not the prize money, but the same money Gi-hun left behind at the hotel in Season 2. 6 months later, player 246 is sketching a portrait of the woman who saved him, not realizing she was soldier number 11. Next to him is the little girl safe, healthy. No-ill hands her a candy and helps her into a car. Just then a call comes in. It's the private investigator she hired. He tells her there's a chance, just maybe her daughter is alive, and possibly somewhere in China. Elsewhere, Woo-seok is released from prison. Waiting for him are Detective Jun-ho and an old friend. In the car, they discuss the missing hotel money. Only 3 people knew about it: Woo-seok, Jun-ho, and Gi-hun. Woo-seok shoots them a look and says, "What if Gi-hun is still alive?" Later that night, Jun-ho returns home. On his table is the baby, a game card, and the full prize money. The child is now the winner. Meanwhile, a woman arrives in Seoul. It's Sae-byok's mother from Season 1. Her son Cheol greets her outside the terminal. Soldier number 11 buys a ticket to China. She's off to find her daughter. The game master visits Gi-hun's daughter. In his hands, a box. He says it's from her father, but the girl with tears in her eyes says she's done waiting. Her dad is gone. In-ho tells her that her father is no longer alive, then silently hands her the box and leaves. Inside, player 456's uniform and a bank card. On the account, the exact amount Gi-hun had left behind. In-ho climbs into a car and disappears into the night. It seems like the story's over, but of course it's not. In the final scene, we're in New York City. That familiar recruiting game is happening again, this time with a homeless man. And across the street, silently watching, is the new game master.